So today I'm talking about midlife and specifically around the idea of a midlife crisis. And that term kind of evokes images of buying a red sports car, running around the world, making rash decisions, doing things that are totally out of character. And we want to go a little bit into the reasons for some of these things that might happen around that time, and kind of validate some of the ways that these behaviors start to make sense. And so in 1965 there was a Canadian psychoanalyst named Elliot Jacques who wrote a paper about midlife crisis, and ever since then that term has come to mean and signify the time when someone is looking at their life in a way that there are less productive years left and everything is starting to go downhill. So it becomes something of an urgent issue. So before we go that far, let's look at the etymology of what the word crisis means. So crisis is kind of a Latinized Greek word for a decision or a turning point. It's used in terms of when there's a disease and the person either gets better or dies. Sounds kind of drastic, but the main point is that it's a time for a decision, a time for something to change. And so in the term of a midlife crisis, what's actually changing is the person's identity, what they identify with, what drives them forward. And midlife time is a time where that identity comes into question. And when our identity is in question, it throws our whole world into chaos. So this identity piece makes a lot of sense, because if we look at the time of our midlife from the viewpoint of a kind of a reckoning from our earlier years of making decisions, we can see that the first part of our life, the first half, let's say, 0 to 35, 40, something like that, we were making decisions on a lack of experience rather than a body of experience. We had limited time to draw conclusions, to have failures, successes, to have a depth with which to make really good decisions. And not only that, most of the decisions we made are based on, in an earlier part of our life, most of our decisions are based on lots of other people's input, lots of other people's opinions, parents, family, friends, culture, norms. A lot of our experiences are based on deciding from that place and also judging our experience from the place of others' opinions. So at midlife, the decision and the opportunity for the decision, we get to course correct our life in a way that is based on now 35 or 40 years of experiences that we have personally experienced and that we can value and judge for ourselves. And that's a whole different viewpoint, a whole different lens to look at the rest of our life from. So we get to choose at this point why we do what we do. We get to choose the direction we want to go. And if we can get past the crisis point, the idea of the crisis, we can get to the point where a decision can be made, an opportunity can be taken advantage of, and we can move in a purposeful direction as a result of having an identity shift. And so it's not surprising that at midlife, a lot of the things we choose seem diametrically opposed to the things that we chose early in our lives. Like, for instance, someone working as an accountant all of a sudden takes a career as a stand-up comic. Or somebody's like a chronic partier, finds themselves on a religious pilgrimage, let's say, or a deeply religious excursion. Or somebody that was a faithful long-term husband or wife has an affair. And as I said, psychologically, this is not surprising, because the decisions and the course we set out for ourselves early on is only based on a limited set of experiences and a limited amount of information that we actually know about ourselves at the time. So it's not a surprise that at midlife, a lot of the things that really work for us as a person start to come out and claim their rightful place in our lives. And they kind of demand that we make a change. Now, the good news about this time is that with this need for a change, there comes an urgency, because we're kind of looking at life not climbing the hill, and it's not really going down the hill or looking down the hill yet. We're kind of plateaued as far as time goes. We're existentially aware that I don't have unlimited time. We don't have that kind of fantasy of being really young and thinking all of my life is ahead of me. We kind of know instinctively, I better start doing something different because my time is not unlimited, and even though I can't see the end, I'm halfway there. And what's good about this urgency is that along with the deep feeling that I need to change my life, there comes a focus and intention that wasn't previously there. And this is a real important factor in either having a great experience at midlife or having a terrible one. The fact that the renewed sense of focus and direction that comes with the urgency around identity change gets to be used in a purposeful way. And so midlife is the perfect time to get more in touch with your own genius qualities, which are the things that you were born with, that you were meant to express in this life. It's a perfect time to get in touch with that because the unexpressed sense of self that had been misused earlier in life comes to the foreground. It comes really close to the surface. And with this renewed sense of urgency, of focus, of purpose, the things that are important for you individually to express as your genius becomes easier and easier and easier to get in touch with. You have less concern about how people are going to be seeing you, and you get to hone in on how does it feel for you to express what is important to you. I want to encourage you not to be overly concerned or worried about feelings of wanting to revisit some experiences that you might have let go of earlier on in your life, let's say. Let's say you were a dancer, and all of a sudden at midlife, you just feel that need to get back into that because you gave it up so that you could become an accountant. Let's say, you want a fast car, the idea of having a red car, fast red sports car, for men and women. Yeah, if you can find one to buy it, experience it. Why not? It itself is not going to give you what you're looking for, because what you're looking for is a way to express the unexpressed sense of genius. But the idea of allowing yourself to experiment with things that you let go of before is really important so that you can flesh out what it is that you're trying to experience and feel and exist as. And so also, new interests come online at this time too. Things that you would have never dreamed experiencing before or playing with start to become possible. Start to become, actually, I could do that. Yeah, that sounds interesting to me. And your friends and family might be thinking, what is wrong with him? What's going on? But these are seeds of experience and expression that have gone unexpressed up until now. Midlife is a perfect time to open up to these things and find parts of yourself that may be missing in your current state of expressing yourself. So for more information on this, you should check out my book, Summoning Genius, A Midlife Guide to Discovering Identity, Purpose, and Meaning, and check out thegeniusway.com for tools, tips, and encouragement.